Hi there, I'm Shannon Fallon. Thanks so much for joining us here on Focus on Frisco. We've got a great show ahead of us. I have to remind everybody that the last time you saw me, I was being pummeled with snow. So not only is it nice to be inside on this one, but I have to say that there is a little summer that's making an appearance, and the trees behind us are starting to show it as well. We're looking forward to a great show. I've got Nancy Carey joining me, Frisco's town manager, and Jason Lederer, who is with the county Open Space and Trails, and he's going to be joining us to talk a little bit about the clearing of that path between Frisco and Copper and the collaboration between many of the entities in and around Summit County. Stay with us right here on Focus on Frisco. Hi there, thanks so much for staying with us here on Focus on Frisco. As promised, we have Jason Lederer here. He's with the Summit County Open Space and Trails, and Nancy Carey, who is of course the Frisco town manager. And we're going to talk a little bit about the 10-mile rec path. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
And I know this is the first time that people are really seeing it in quite some time, because it was covered with snow and debris and a lot of that for much of the winter. I mean, it really was impacted early on.
Yeah, that's right. So in March, I think people might remember this historic avalanche cycle we had. And so during that time, there were 23 avalanches that came down Tenmile Canyon crossing the rec path. Most of them, about half of them, were triggered naturally. Some were triggered by explosives, by CDOT and CIC. And so it created quite a mess out there, and it's definitely historic. You know, we are used to avalanches occurring in that area, but this is the first time we've had basically every avalanche path in the canyon run historically large. So it's a significant event.
Well, it was incredible, and still to this day, we'll drive down the canyon and go, okay, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, and it just is, you don't take a breath in between them.
Right. We call this kind of a character-changing event. I mean, I think it's going to look different from here on out for quite a while.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it was definitely eye-opening for us. There's still a lot of snow in places. There's still a lot of debris stacked on the other side of the rec path. But you know, we were able to get it open here this last weekend, which was somewhat miraculous. It felt like it happened faster than I think a lot of us thought it would. But we've been working with a good contractor, and things seem to be a little bit easier than maybe we had anticipated in terms of how much debris there was or how hard it'd be to move it. So we're pretty happy about that.
And Nancy, this kind of impacted the town of Frisco early on because, of course, the Run the Rockies is always, you know, from Copper to Frisco, or almost always. I do remember another year where it didn't happen then either. But that was a big event. How did it impact the town of Frisco? And I mean, in just, you know, the community sense and certainly the partnership sense.
Right. Well, it did. We got a lot of calls from folks that were asking, when is the rec path going to be open, and how can we get it open?
Did you tell them to bring a shovel?
I said call the county, and no, I didn't say that at all. And actually, the county manager and I did speak about, well, what can we do to help? What can Frisco do to help? And primarily, if you think about it, it is the county's fiscal responsibility, because that's what they do, is maintain that in terms of their responsibility on maintenance. But it really belongs to all of us. And so we said, how can we help as well? And we worked out an idea that maybe we could help with financial contribution. They would take the lead, and they have, as they wanted to, in terms of hiring the contractor. We went to the council. The council said, absolutely, what can we do to help? So they've agreed to pay about, I can't remember, about 25 or 30% of it. But also at the same time, they reached out to the Forest Service. The Forest Service has agreed. Copper Mountain has agreed. You know, everyone cares about the rec path, and our businesses in town, quite a few of them rent bikes to go on the rec path. I've certainly rented bikes from there.
Yeah.
And so it matters to everyone, and having a really strong collaborative partnership in Summit County was able to make this happen quickly.
Now, Jason, from a fiscal perspective, what impact, I mean, was it unprecedented numbers that were going to be seen?
Absolutely, yeah. So we work with our Road and Bridge Department every year to open up the 10-mile Canyon rec path in the spring. And there's certainly been avalanches that have crossed the pathway before, just never this many and at this scale. And so typically, we work with our own resources to do the work involved. And so it was just at this point we realized it was more than we could really handle at our level. We needed to go out for help. The first thing we needed to do is figure out what we thought it might cost us. And so we went out there when it was safe enough, definitely a couple months later, to really take a good look at everything that had occurred. And from there, kind of tried to figure out what the cost might be. and then put out an RFP to try to find a contractor to help us. And we got a really great response, broad range of responses and ideas, and we weren't really sure the best way to approach it. We had our own thoughts, but got a lot of ideas, and then settled on a few, and then identified a firm we thought was probably the best value for all of us who were counting on to get this to open. So yeah.
Yeah, it was a very smart process, I thought, and very engaging and quick. That is not something government is often associated with, is being quick.
You said that.
Well, it's true that people just have that mythical belief, but we actually are very quick at things. Yeah. And the county was very fast in responding, and the council was fast in responding, and the private sector jumped in as well to help. Yeah,
we were super grateful for the outside support with our partners that we had gotten, because we weren't sure exactly how we were going to pay for this, but we knew that there were people we could turn to, and the generosity of Town of Frisco and the Forest Service and now Coppers is really going to help us going forward, because we think this is probably something we're going to have to deal with for quite a while.
Well, that was going to be one of my next questions, and I know that budgeting hasn't happened necessarily for the Town of Frisco, although it's always on everybody's mind. But is this something, as you said, that it's changed the landscape for quite some time? Is this something that the county will say to the town, guess what? We'd love your help. Is it something that we start to look as a budget option for the Town of Frisco, so that it can be in there? And maybe it won't ever get used. Maybe maybe not every year. But is that something that you guys are starting to explore?
I think it's we do have budget as well as the county does on maintenance, general maintenance, but it is something to talk about with climate change, with all the discussions people are having, all the avalanches. Unprecedented 100-year mark is what I had read in the press release, I believe. But yes, we should be thinking about putting something away so that you're not in that urgency kind of moment.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. What do they always say? Need it or have it and not need it, rather than need it and not have it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, Jason, you said going back to the actual path. It's open. People can use it. What are you still talking about with the community and the people who use the rec path?
Sure.
Still safety concerns? What are the next steps for the county?
So the pathway is open. It opened on Friday afternoon for a nice snowy weekend in summer, right? But it's open, and it's open pretty much from Frisco up to sort of the Conoco area of Tenmile Canyon. And above that, crews are still working to remove a couple of large debris piles from the sky chutes. So that's probably a week's worth of work or so. Don't quote me on that. It just all depends on a lot of factors. But also, our crews are going to be looking at the rec path weekly. There's material moving. It's whether you're at the ponds and we have flooding and it comes up over the pathway there, or some of the snow piles that are melting out and debris is moving within them. I think the pathway users should still be aware that there probably will be still some debris from time to time on the rec path, just because there's so much accumulated on either side of it.
Right.
So we'll be staying after that for the remainder of this year, and then looking at it into the future, because we expect it to continue to move over time.
Right, and that is going to be a fascinating process. I think probably from your perspective, that technical, but from those of us who use the rec path, just to always have to kind of watch out. And I think a good safety measure would be to say, don't go necessarily flying down that hill like we have in previous years. Be a little bit more aware of what's going on and what has gone on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely use caution as you would any time up there. There's wildlife on the rec path. We had an unfortunate collision with a goat at Officers Ghost last year. I've been told that person's doing fine now, which is good, or much better. But people out there should be aware that it's a natural landscape. Things happen. We're out there as much as we can trying to keep an eye on it and mitigate it for safety. But, it's just important to be aware of your surroundings at all times up there, and just use, the level of caution you might, anywhere in the wilderness.
Yeah, you bet. All good advice, and certainly we thank the efforts that you guys have put in overseeing it, and the process that it took to get somebody to come in the town of Frisco, making sure that it happened for everybody that loves to use it as much as we do. So it's much appreciated, I think, on a number of levels.
Yes,
we appreciate all the support, we really do. So.
It's great. If people have questions about the rec path, what steps should they take? Whether it's about if they see if something fell and it's blocking the rec path, if they want to get a hold of you guys, or just some questions about it, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, they can always call us at Open Space and Trails Department. Our contact information is on the county's website.
Great.
Email, phone are fine. If it's a real emergency, dial 911. We have our Special Ops and Sheriff's Department work with us closely on managing health and safety and enforcement on the rec path. So, but but they should, no one should ever hesitate to reach out to us if they see something that's of concern. Absolutely.
That's great. All
Great
right.
idea.
Good. Jason, thanks so much for taking the time to come on out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Nancy, you're not going anywhere.
Okay.
You're sticking around. So we're just going to take a quick break here on Focus on Frisco. When we come back, Nancy and I are going to talk about the council's strategic plan for 2019 and 2020. So stay with us right here.